All right, sports fans, how's everyone out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, Friday night's showdown between the Boston Celtics and Denver Nuggets definitely lived up to the billing. You're talking about two of the NBA's better teams, as the Celtics currently have the best record in the league, while the Nuggets are third in the West. You're talking about the defending NBA champions in the Nuggets taking on a Celtics franchise which has gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals at least in 5 of the last 7 years. Now, of course, when you think about the Celtics and you think about the Nuggets, you got plenty of star power on both of these squads. And then, we saw the Nuggets make the key plays coming down the stretch in this one. You think about the big man. I'm talking about the two-time NBA MVP and one Nikola Jokic. He showed up big in this contest: 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. Jamal Murray for the Nuggets as well, a big-time game: 35 points on 15 of 21 shooting. Now for the Celtics, Jason Tatum had 22 points, but he had to work for it as he was 9 of 24 shooting, and then he was just 1 of 8 from downtown in this contest. Kristaps Porzingis, the newest Celtic, or one of the newest Celtics rather, also chipping in with 21 as well. But this was a tight contest throughout. And then if you looked at the game, each possession in the second half was so critical. And honestly, if you watched it, it just had the feel of a playoff game to it. A playoff game basically in January. I know all of the focus is on the playoffs on the NFL, but nonetheless, you can never begin to look ahead too quick to the NBA playoffs because it's right around the corner. You got two of the deeper starting fives in the NBA this season. And of course, once the Celtics brought in Kristaps Porzingis along with Drew Holiday, it just added so much more depth to this club. But for Denver, they have to have gotten a psychological edge from this one, in my opinion, is due to the fact that just right after losing on the road to the Philadelphia 76ers, you come back and beat the Celtics. And not only do you beat Boston, but you gave them their first home loss of the season. And we saw the Nuggets make those key plays coming down the stretch. And that's that championship pedigree. Denver didn't win a championship last year by accident. You got a lot of players who were key players for that championship team last spring still in the fold. And the Nuggets are definitely looking to go back and repeat, but clearly it's not going to be easy. On the flip side for Boston, what do they need to do in order to get out of the East? I mean, we saw Boston last year go down 0-3 in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Miami Heat. They rebounded to force game seven. And then, of course, early on in that decisive game, Jason Tatum was injured. And then it just took the wind out of the sail, of the sails, rather, of the Celtics. You look at it right now, again, Boston has a lot of depth. And I think, bringing in Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, does so much more for that team. Still Jason Tatum is their go-to guy. You think about Jalen Brown for his defense. And to me, I think Boston is the team to beat in the East. But again, championships are not won on paper. You're still going to have to go out there and take care of their business. It will be interesting to see if the Celtics go out there and make another trade prior to the trade deadline to even add more depth. But on top of that, Boston, at times they live and die by the three. And we saw that in this contest as they lost to the Nuggets on Friday night. They were 14 of 44 from three. They take most more threes than most teams in the NBA. They make more threes than most teams in the NBA, but nonetheless, sometimes when the threes are on, they're on, but when they're off, they're off. And of course, again, we saw that in the game of one Jason Tatum. But you look at the Nuggets on the flip side, and of course, the question is going to be, how do they get out of the West? I know that Denver is currently third in the West right now. They're looking up at both Minnesota and Oklahoma City. Uh, I give Denver the edge against both of those young teams just due to the fact that it's kind of been there, done that for them. They have that championship experience and they know what it takes to get ahead. For me, just like the Celtics, one of the biggest things for the Nuggets, they're going to have to stay healthy. You can never predict when key players are going to be injured. You look at Denver a couple of years ago. Yes, they were able to make the playoffs without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., but then we saw how much they were needed when the Nuggets lost in 2022 in the first round to the eventual NBA champions, Golden State Warriors. But nonetheless, the Nuggets have plenty of depth in their starting five. It's going to be interesting to see if they look to add more depth for their bench. And I think, you look at the West right now, you've got Minnesota and you've got Oklahoma City ahead of the Nuggets. The Clippers, this is a big enigma right there because if they can stay healthy, they can be a problem in the postseason. And then, you got some veteran teams. What are they going to do? And I'm talking about, Phoenix, who's currently eighth. Can the Lakers get their act together? We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, you look at it, and I think the Nuggets are still in a prime spot. Nikola Jokic, one of the best players in the league by far. You got plenty of talent and depth on this Nuggets team. I talked about Jamal Murray. You got Aaron Gordon. You got Michael Porter Jr. And then you got KCP for his perimeter defense. And he's a guy who definitely plays with a chip on his shoulder. Nuggets head coach Michael Malone definitely has his finger on the pulse of this team as they're looking to get back to the NBA Finals and repeat. Clearly, they still got a lot of work ahead of them. It's January, and a lot could happen now between late January and late June. But nonetheless, we're going to see the rematch between these two teams come March 7th out in Denver. Let's see how both of these rosters look after that, because clearly we're going to be talking about post trade deadline in the NBA. And we came very close to getting this matchup in June last year in the NBA Finals. Of course, the Celtics comeback fell short, and then we saw the Nuggets basically run roughshod over an undersized Miami Heat team in 5 games. But you look at it for Joe Mazzulla and company, he's got one of the best teams in the NBA, and I'm talking about the Celtics. And of course, the Nuggets have one of the best teams in the NBA as well. So strong possibility. I'm not going to go as far. I take that back. Not a strong possibility, but a possibility that we see both of these teams meeting come June in the NBA Finals. Like I said, a lot has to happen between now and then. It always comes down to which teams can stay the healthiest. But as of right now, there is a possibility that we could see Boston and Denver in June in the finals. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.